It's that time of year. It's still warm, and there's no better time to go to a game. SeatGeek takes tickets from all across the web and puts them into one area, making buying simple. They put these on a 1 to 100 scale, so you know you're getting a good deal. Plus, if you haven't done it yet, use my promo code KTO on your first purchase. That's good for $20 off. Shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this video. And now, let's look at the NFL 10 years ago.
CBS Sports thanks you for watching this presentation of the National Football League.
The NFL is constantly evolving. Rules have changed, team personnel is always being adjusted. Remember when games on Fox used to look like this? And then games on CBS looked like this? It just makes me nostalgic to think about how it used to be, and we tend to forget about what happened in the past. So let me take you back to the fall of 2008. It was a different time. YouTube looked like this. The Brady-Manning rivalry was at its peak. Fans actually liked Jay Cutler. The Wildcat formation was going to change the NFL.
After Ronnie, right side, breaks the tackle, he's on! He's at the 40, the 30, Ronnie Brown, his fourth rushing touchdown of the day! Ronnie Brown, player of the week!
T.O. and Chad Ochocinco were still doing their thing. Vince Young looked like a promising player. Plaxico Burress shot himself in the leg. The Detroit Lions would have a season for the ages, and the Arizona Cardinals would surprise everyone. Here's some notable rule changes. They used to have 2 different face mask penalties, one for 5 yards and one for 15. This was the year that they got rid of the 5-yard face mask. Another notable rule change was the force out rule. It used to be that when a receiver caught it and was pushed out before he landed, the ref could call it a catch if he felt the receiver would have caught it inbounds if he wasn't pushed. But with this new rule, a receiver being pushed out before he landed would be called incomplete. Fantasy football was rising pretty dramatically in popularity at the time. At receiver, we saw Randy Moss and Terrell Owens at the top. They both had outstanding years in 2007, and they showed no signs of slowing down. At running back, after a breakout rookie season by Adrian Peterson, he became the consensus #1 pick in most leagues. There was some other solid backs at the top, including Marion Barber and Marshawn Lynch on the Bills. At quarterback, even going back 10 years, we see a lot of familiar faces. Oh yeah, then there's Derek Anderson. He was the last quarterback in Cleveland that didn't suck. So let me transition into some of the top storylines headed into the 2008 season. Number 1, can Tavares Jackson lead the Vikings to a title? Minnesota felt maybe that they had their guy moving forward. They were stacked and looking to make a Super Bowl run. Number 2, can the Chargers finally get over the hump? Just 2 seasons prior, they went 14-2. They still had LaDainian Tomlinson in his prime, and they played in a very weak AFC West at the time. They were destined for the playoffs, but the question was, could they finally get to the Super Bowl? Number 3, Brett Favre coming out of retirement. Brett Favre decided to unretire, only to have the Packers tell him that they were going to move forward with their new young quarterback. People wondered, would this decision haunt the Packers? Number 4, can Aaron Rodgers replace the legend? It's pretty tough to take over after the legendary number 4. Fans were pissed when they let Favre go, and Rodgers hadn't even started a game yet for the Packers. Number 5, is David Garrard the answer in Jacksonville? The Jags were bested in the playoffs by the Patriots the year before. David Garrard looked like he could be the guy moving forward, and this was yet another team trying to make a run in the AFC. Number 6, can Tony Romo win a playoff game? The Cowboys were red hot the year before, going 13-3. Tony Romo kind of came out of nowhere and lit the NFL on fire. Now it was time for the next step. Could he win a playoff game? Number 7, is Jay Cutler going to lead the Broncos out of their playoff drought? Entering his 3rd season, Jay Cutler was looking to be a breakout star in the NFL. He had a decent 07 campaign, and the Broncos were looking to best the Chargers in the AFC West. Number 8, can the Patriots bounce back after their Super Bowl loss? The 07 Patriots were stunned in the Super Bowl. And not only that, but Tom Brady would go down in week 1 with a torn ACL. That means it was Matt Castle time. Number 9, the expansion Browns were coming off their best season since their return to the league in 1999. Even with that 10-6 record, they still didn't make the playoffs. Although luck wasn't on Cleveland's side, the one thing the city had was hope. Number 10, how will the new rookie quarterbacks fare? Matt Ryan and Joe Flacco were first-round picks who were starting for their respective teams. So the usual question was, were they going to live up to that first-round hype? So back to number 1, Tavares Jackson was benched after game 1, and he never really saw significant playing time after that in Minnesota. Number 2, the Chargers sucked it up to start the year. They started 4-8 and somehow rallied in their last 4 games and snuck into the playoffs. They even won a game against the Colts. They ended up losing to the Steelers in the second round. Number 3, the Jets looked amazing to start the season. Favre had a game with 6 touchdowns and they started 8-3. It all fell apart though. Favre got hurt, and the following season, he was released from the team. Eventually, he would sign with Minnesota. Number 4, his first season at the helm, Green Bay went 6-10, but Aaron Rodgers looked like the real deal. Only 2 years later, he would bring the Lombardi back home. Number 5, the Jags sucked, and they wouldn't return back to the playoffs until 2017. Number 6, they didn't even qualify for the playoffs. Number 7, Jay Cutler would go on to the Pro Bowl, but the Broncos fell short of the playoffs and ended up trading him to Chicago. Number 8, the Patriots still went 11-5 with Matt Castle. They even made him look good enough to ship him out for a second-round pick, but somehow they still didn't even make the playoffs, which is pretty shocking. This is the only time in the Belichick era they didn't qualify. Number 9, as usual, the Browns sucked. Number 10, Matt Ryan and Joe Flacco both made the playoffs in their first season. They played decent, but their teams really stepped it up. Ultimately, the playoffs would come and go, and after the conference championships, we saw a surprising matchup. The Steelers, as dominant as ever, versus the shock of the year, the Arizona Cardinals. Kurt Warner had revived his career, and this team's prolific passing offense had 3 receivers with over 1,000 yards. This was a game for the ages.
Second and 10. Warner has time. Fitzgerald into Steeler territory. 30, 20, 10. Arizona has the lead. Miller slot left. Washington outside left. Roethlisberger has time. Throws to the back of the end zone.